Live from Music City, USA, here in Nashville, Tennessee, it is The Six. Hi, everyone. Connor Nute alongside Nick Frazier for the re-debut of a long-awaited program. That's right, the 6 o'clock hour. The sports talk doesn't stop here. And, of course, you all know us from our Saturday show, The Weekend Huddle. I would like to say we have graduated. We have moved up in the world. We are on every day from 6 to 7. Nick Frazier, how are we this evening? I know you've had a long day.
Yeah, no, it's all good. We're feeling great. I don't know how else to say this, but I'm happy to be here. I think we're all excited to be here, man. It's finally here.
I mean, how could you not be, man? It's we're on the weekdays. It's every day now, and this is our lives. And you know, I'm just really, truly grateful for the opportunity. You and me have kind of come up together. It feels like you taught me a lot about how to produce preds and. You know, I learned from you, and then you learned. I don't want to say you learned anything from me because I don't know that, but you know, we've grown up as hosts together.
We all learn together.
Yeah, we all learn together. That's right. We've come up through hosts. We've come up through the weekends, and now we've made it to the weekdays. Nick Frazier, a part of a rotating cast of characters I'm sure we'll have on this program. Of course, he's our host. He's our best friend. We had to have him on first. But Parker Kelly will be along for the ride as well, working on some other folks to join as well. Brandon Bigsby will be behind the glass. Jake Steigelfest will join us as well behind the glass on a daily basis. But overall, just happy to be here. So without further ado, we told you the sports talk doesn't stop at 6 o'clock. So why stop it now? The Tennessee Titans begin training camp. I guess the official start date is tomorrow for Tuesday, but they officially hit the open practice field to the media on Wednesday. Nick Frazier, how excited are we for football to finally be back in the Music City?
I would say pretty excited, man. It's, going into this upcoming season, everybody's always optimistic for the most part. I mean, as for me, I'm optimistically concerned. Let's put it that way. I'm excited to see what this Titans team can do. I mean, I do think the ceiling is 9 wins. The floor has to be 6 wins. But overall, this is a season I think a lot of Titans fans are excited for coming up for sure.
It is certainly a lot of intrigue just because, you know, it's been, almost 6 months of no football in this city, and it's been kind of depressing. But now we have real football back. And now the dog days of summer are coming to an end. We're list season and Mount Rushmore and who's the greatest sports movie athlete of all time and all that garbage is done. Now we can talk about real football. So for me, being out there this season, I'm excited for that. But for me, there's a lot of intrigue that goes into this. What is Cam Ward going to look like? Can he shore up some consistency? Carnell Tate, of course, is going to be a storyline, being drafted number 4 overall in this past draft. You've got some concerns on the offensive line. Can Jeffrey Simmons take it to the next level? What about the defense as a whole? What about your new head coach? So many questions and a lot of time to answer all these questions, but obviously these are none we can answer today. But there's just so many questions going into this season that I can't wait to talk about. So without further ado, let's start with Cam Ward. Obviously the story for him in OTAs was he cannot be consistent. He had good days, he had really bad days, and overall, I've told you this before, Nick, I don't take too much from a June practice where no one is padded and they're simulating situations where he is designed to mess up. But how important is it when we get into padded practices and we get to see best on best and no more of the 7-on-7 stuff, full team scrimmages? How important is it for Cam Ward to get off to a hot start this camp?
It's very important. I mean, the one thing I'm really honing in on for Cam Ward, it's primarily just getting the footwork down and making sure the ball is out of his hands quickly. And when I mean quickly, I mean, you go back and look at spring practice, there's no pads going on. It's just helmets. You're just in shells. You're just trying to make sure you get the rhythm down and chemistry down with all of your teammates, wide receivers, tight ends, XYZ, all the above. Obviously, Cam Ward did that previously and recently in Miami, as we've talked about before with Carnell Tate and all the other wide receivers that went down there to Miami. But you look at this team and you say they have to do it immediately. They have to be clicking on all cylinders if they look for any form of success. If they want to be a wild card team, I think they have to be clicking on all cylinders in the first 4 weeks, especially in Game 1, because Game 1 carries a lot of weight now that, it's been out now that Chris Johnson is going to be inducted into the Titans Ring of Honor, and that's just a big game. It's a big game for Robert Saleh. It's a big game for the Tennessee Titans. It's a big game for Chris Johnson and his legacy. So, obviously, it sets the tone for the rest of the season, but we all know this. Every single game matters, but the next one that matters is the one right after the other.
Oh, I agree 100%. Look, I don't think he needs to be absolutely perfect to come out of the gates in training camp. You're going to see some struggle. I promise you. But guess what it's called? It's called a practice. Practices do not count. Contrary to what other people will tell you, Cam Ward, if he has one bad practice, is not a bust. I fully expect to see some struggles from him. And you know what? I welcome those struggles because a young quarterback learning a new system is going to struggle. With that being said, I think it's important that he's capable of stringing together some good days. We see back-to-back good days from Cam Ward. And, you know, I think having Carnell Tate out there is going to be important because you finally get him his running mate, someone that he is going to grow with, someone that you hope he's going to develop with, and someone that's going to take this league by storm, you hope, as a quarterback-wide receiver tandem. I think it's also important that the offensive line needs to show some improvement, and I realize it's going to be somewhat of a struggle early in this camp just because you have JC Latham on the PUP list, and we'll talk about that here in a little bit. But I think overall, on paper, it's very fair to say that this offense has improved significantly. Carnell Tate, Wan'Dale Robinson. You bring in some pieces on the offensive line. Granted, they're not as good as the pieces I would have hoped they would have gotten, but you bring in pieces. You hope Calvin Ridley is back to being healthy. You hope Gunnar Helm takes a step at tight end. You have all these storylines going on your offense that you hope are going to improve. Now it's a matter of when the cleats hit the turf, do they improve? And I think we're going to find a lot of that out in the first couple of weeks of camp.
For sure. The big issue, again, and we're going to get to it later on, is JC Latham. And I think if he doesn't, I wouldn't say pan out, but if he doesn't produce right off the bat, that's what truly hinges the production and even also the development of a guy like Cam Ward, especially with whatever they've brought in like you already mentioned there, Connor, about Carnell Tate, Wan'Dale Robinson, and even more. If you have one player that's going to ruin it for everyone, that is the big question mark for me. And I've even stated on these airwaves before, I don't think it's too overblown. I am very concerned about a guy like JC Latham. And if he doesn't, if he's not fully healthy or if that's a lingering injury that, continues throughout the season, that's not good. It's not. That means that they're going to have to start looking elsewhere, and elsewhere meaning the draft. That's just how I perceive it.
Yeah, I think we have some time to figure that one out, but I will say, him being on the PUP list right now is not a good sign, and we'll get to that in just a moment. 615-737-1025 is the phone number. Phone and text lines driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Texter on our text line 2765 says, should the Titans try and go get Vita Vea? That would be insane. Vita Vea, of course, with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, just requested a trade within the hour. I don't think the Titans have the capital, nor should they invest the cap. Well, they do have the capital. I don't think they should invest that in a player of that caliber. I think with what they're trying to do in rebuilding this franchise, they need to look towards allocating those picks into positions of need, and we know that they have some positions of need. So I wouldn't invest into Vita Vea, as good of a player as I think he is.
No, because then that just drops the idea of why did you draft a guy like Jackie Marshall, a fifth-round pick out of Baylor, who, personally to me, that's one of my favorite picks out of the Titans draft this past season, past offseason, excuse me. I mean, Jackie Marshall almost has the same size on paper as a guy like Jeffrey Simmons. And again, the big issue that everybody had with T'Vondre Sweat was the weight and his durability and being able to move on and off the ball. I feel like a guy like Jackie Marshall, if you have the same stature on paper and also the way you move, you're a hole clogger is what you are for better lack of a better term there. But you got to make sure if you're a guy like Jackie Marshall to absorb everything Jeffrey Simmons is telling you, and also not even him, but John Franklin Myers, and even in some cases, Jermaine Johnson. I mean, those guys are true veterans that understand the system of Robert Saleh's defense. You're a sponge at this point. You're a rookie. Just absorb. That's why I think he is one of the big sleepers on this defense.
Yeah, I think you stole the words out of my mouth. You've already got two starting caliber defensive tackles on your front line in John Franklin Myers and, of course, Jeffrey Simmons, who I would argue is the best defensive tackle in football. Not sure you need another player of that caliber at the same position. I think you need to allocate those picks elsewhere to try and clog some holes. And you're right, Jackie Marshall, you have been on Jackie Marshall for a while. That's your guy from this draft, it sounds like. I don't know too much about him, so I'm not taking much stock into him. But who knows? He could turn out to be a really important piece for the Titans' future. Just a 5th-round pick, I don't know too much about, but who knows? We could see some production from him this season.
Yeah, I mean, obviously he only had 30 total tackles on the season, but to be fair, it's a small sample size. I get that. It's more about the size and what you can develop him to be. I think that's what it's for, in my opinion. Again, 5th-round pick, more of a flyer than anything, but if you can kind of keep yourself a 6th-round pick, excuse me about that, 6'2", 293, if you can keep yourself in the right shape and you just learn through osmosis through everybody around you, I think that's all you really need in this case. Because, again, 6th-round pick, if it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. So it's, low risk, high reward in this case.
615-737-1025 is the phone number if you want to get involved in the conversation. We told you, Sports Talk doesn't stop at 6 now. We go to 7. We got a fun show planned for you today. Lots of Titans talk with myself and Dr. Crane. Coming up next, though, I want to talk about something that I think is important going into training camp. We have an iron sharpens iron matchup, as I'm calling it, on the outside. Carnell Tate versus Alontae Taylor. How important is it for both of those players to improve on each other's abilities going into the season? Of course, we'll talk about JC Latham later in the show. We talked about that a little bit at the top. And to wrap things up, I told you, if we ever leave Saturdays, it's coming with us. The game that has taken over the station and maybe one day the nation, where are they now? We'll wrap things up with that coming up later in the program. But coming up next, we'll talk about Carnell Tate and Alontae Taylor and how they can improve on each other. Right here, this is The 6 on 102.5 The Game. Welcome back in. This is The 6 here on 102.5 The Game. Connor Nute, Dr. Crane, Nick Frazier here with you on this fine Monday, making the re-debut of the program. Weekdays from 6 to 7. All right, Nick, so we're talking about Tennessee Titans training camp, and obviously that gets going tomorrow, open to the media on Wednesday, so we'll get some coverage there. And something I'm really excited about as a media member and something I'm looking forward to watching is Carnell Tate versus Alontae Taylor. Now, why am I excited for this? It's exciting because not only is it your wide receiver 1 and your quarterback 1 going up against each other in practice, it's 2 players that have never played that position at an NFL level. For Carnell Tate, that's obvious. He was just drafted. He's a rookie in the NFL. He hasn't played a snap in a regular season NFL game. For Alontae Taylor, it's a little bit different. Obviously, he has years of NFL experience under his belt, but he's recognized more as a nickel. At least that's what he played in New Orleans with the Saints. Now the Titans are looking to move him to the outside so he can match up against the wide receiver 1. And obviously you'll see Cordell Flott matched up against Carnell Tate too. But I think it's important to see Taylor and Tate matched up with each other because I think it's an iron sharpens iron matchup. I think that their skills up against each other can help improve each other as we get towards the regular season. What do you think about that?
Yeah, absolutely. This is the best of the best. You're absolutely right. And because Carnell Tate doesn't have any NFL experience, I'm not going to kind of put that against him because he was easily one of the best wide receivers in all of college football last year. Some may say differently. I think the big thing everybody has to realize about Carnell Tate is the catch radius. I think his catch radius is spot on. I mean, you put anything up in the air near his hands, he's going to grab it and come down with it for the most part. As for Alontae Taylor, for these two to go up against each other during camp, it's going to be a fun one to watch, to be fair. I mean, yes, you make a good point. Alontae Taylor playing a different, position in secondary at nickel and at New Orleans previously, but the Titans signed him to a big money deal to where they want him to be the cornerstone piece to their defense in the secondary. So with Amani Hooker being on the PUP list to start the season as well, you already mentioned about Cordell Flott. Obviously, hopefully Flott's injuries from the spring don't carry over into the fall. They don't seem like it from what we all know of, but it seems like to me that Flott and even Taylor are going to be the top 2 spots for this team to where they can really shine, and hopefully that's during training camp. But the big takeaway from Flott and I'm sorry, not Flott, but Alontae Taylor and Carnell Tate is just to see how they are out of their break, and just within the first 5 yards, see how Carnell Tate reacts to an NFL caliber, cornerback. As for Alontae Taylor, just get a good feel of how the young wide receiver is going to react to the way he plays. I think that's the big thing to take away from day 1 tomorrow.
Is it fair to say that I'm more concerned for Tate Or I'm sorry, let me try that again. Is it fair to say that I'm more concerned for Taylor playing that position than I am for Tate, just because I know the ability and I've seen it on film? Is that fair to say?
Yeah, you could say it's fair to say. I mean, I'm not too terribly concerned about Alontae Taylor, just because
I'm not either.
He's already proven himself what he's worth in the league. And I think when he went up against Tennessee last year, we all were watching on the television, and every single time the broadcaster was, saying the Titans threw a pass in the direction of Alontae Taylor, his name was mentioned literally every single time. That's a player that knows how to get in the mix for, any sort of commotion in the secondary, also along with anything inside the box as well, because like you mentioned, playing nickel, you're going to get, a little bit of some action from the outsides of the box there. But overall, I wouldn't be too concerned. But it is fair to say that, though.
No, I'm not concerned. I'm not concerned about either. I mean, obviously, it might be a little bit of a hot take saying that just because Carnell Tate's a rookie and we haven't seen him play in an NFL game yet. But I know what he's capable of in seeing him in practices, in seeing what he's been able to do at Ohio State the last couple of years. I feel like there's a high ceiling for him this year. For Alontae Taylor, there's a high ceiling too. It's just the fear of the unknown with him. I know what he's capable of doing at a nickel, but it's hard to move from the inside to the outside in the NFL because there's such a drastic difference for most teams from guarding a wide receiver 3 in man coverage, maybe you're 4, to guarding a wide receiver 1. Most teams in the NFL have a solidified wide receiver 1. So that's where my concern lies. Is Alontae Taylor going to be able to go up with some of the better wide receivers that are even better than Tate? Obviously, I won't use Jamar Chase or Justin Jefferson as examples because I think those are outliers and they're the best wide receivers in the league. But can Alontae Taylor go toe-to-toe with a Mike Evans? Can Alontae Taylor go toe-to-toe with, I don't know, maybe a, who am I blanking on? Brian Thomas for Jacksonville. Sure. Guys within the division. Can he manage to go with that lower tier of wide receivers? That's what I'm going to be looking for. And I think Carnell Tate is going to give him a taste of that. Not that he's as good or as proven as those, but I think he has that ability.
No, you're spot on with the player comparisons in this sense, because you mentioned Mike Evans. That's another player in the NFL who's minus last season with his injuries. He's had 1,000 yards receiving every single year, and that's another guy that you can bring up the word there of catch radius. That is a guy who has really good catch radius. So to the Alontae Taylor point of all this, back to what I said originally, and that's seeing how both of these two players, meaning Carnell Tate and Alontae Taylor, how they react out of the break. Out of the first 5 yards, if Alontae Taylor is struggling on the back pedal a little bit, I'm very curious to see what the man coverage is going to look like. If they're all if Alontae Taylor's playing man on Carnell Tate out of the break, I think it'll be an impressive thing to watch, because if he reacts and is able to switch those hips quickly, I think we're going to see signs of progression and also signs of hope for this Titans secondary.
Now, the same can be said for Carnell Tate, especially within the division. You're a wide receiver 1. You're going up against some of the best cornerbacks in the league, and some of them are in your division. Derek Stingley plays for the Texans. I would argue he's a top 3 cornerback in the entire National Football League. So we're going to learn a lot, I think, from this matchup. Can either of them handle the ability and the position that they were given? I think, for me, I'm more concerned about Alontae Taylor being able to handle it than Carnell Tate. Not because I just don't believe in Alontae Taylor, but Carnell Tate's a rookie. And, I can't take a full scope of how his NFL career is going to pan out based off of 1 year. If he goes for 1,700 yards, I think we'll have a good idea, but then again, you won't know how the rest of his career is going to go. If he goes for 800 yards this season, which is probably about what I would expect for him to do, again, you're not going to know what his entire career outlook is going to look like. It's steady improvement, and that's what I expect from Carnell Tate. For Alontae Taylor, he doesn't have to be like Tate as much, or he needs to be a little bit different. He's got to make an impact instantly, because this Titans secondary needed an overhaul. And you feel like you got it with Taylor, and you feel like you got it with Flott, and you feel like you got it with a little bit of the depth you have in there. But the corner room, I would argue, is the least deep position group on that defense. So Alontae Taylor needs to make an impact, and he needs to make one early.
Oh, 100%. And that's why, we don't talk too much about Cordell Flott, but that's another reason why we need to highlight a player like Cordell Flott in this sense, because that's a player who's very familiar with Brian Daboll, obviously on the offensive side of the ball, but he knows tendencies of what these wide receivers might do. So if there is a mismatch of some sense of maybe flots on Tate at one point in training camp, I think it'll be more of a tougher test for a guy like Carnell Tate because he can adjust to a player that knows the Brian Daboll offense a little bit more. But as for Alontae Taylor, like you're talking about, yeah, I'm kind of with you in that sense as well.
I am interested in the wide receiver room as a whole, though, outside of Carnell Tate, because I've said this before. I think I've said this to you before. Wan'Dale Robinson is going to be Cam Ward's safety blanket. Just the style of player he is, how he works in that Brian Daboll offense. Him and Gunnar Helm are going to be the two safety blankets. So I think we'll learn a lot about that in training camp. If Alontae Taylor is, in fact, eating Carnell Tate up, guess who's probably going to be open across the middle? Wan'Dale Robinson. So I think we'll learn a lot about Wan'Dale Robinson as training camp gets underway, too.
Oh, for sure. And that's a wonderful segue into why he's so valuable for this offense, because that's just, I think that's probably going to be the biggest signing for the Titans this past offseason. Yes, we can kind of highlight Alontae Taylor and Cordell Flott on the defensive side of the ball, but when you look at what Wan'Dale Robinson has done in New York and now coming to Nashville for this, I think it's just only going to open up more opportunities for him. The yak yards is going to, and kind of back to our initial point about Cam Ward in the first segment, that's what's going to help Cam Ward develop as a true passing quarterback, is finding those short routes and allowing Wan'Dale Robinson to do what he does best, and that's collect yak yards after the catch.
And you know why Wan'Dale Robinson is so special to me?
Why is that?
Built by Blue, Kentucky Wildcat.
You think we'll ever get a little gist of Will Levis and Wan'Dale at some point in the preseason?
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, I'm sure, because that's a chemistry thing for them. For Will Levis, that's his guy. I mean, I can go back fond memories of that 2021 season with Kentucky where Will Levis and Wan'Dale Robinson were slinging the rock together. So I'm sure we'll get maybe just a little bit of it. It won't be for long. Might be a couple plays, might be a drive or so, but I'm sure we're going to get some of that.
Man, I hope so.
615-737-1025 is the phone number. Connor Nute, Dr. Crane, Nick Frazier here with you. Coming up next, we'll talk a little JC Latham. How concerning is it that he is on the PUP list to start training camp? We'll discuss coming up next, as well as get to your phone calls and your texts. Again, 615-737-1025 is the phone number. More of the six coming up next right here on 1025 The Game. Oh, this song every time, Nick, just gets me right in the feels. I don't know what it is. It's a good one.
I can't hear it on my end, but what was it?
It's Seven Summers, Morgan Wallen.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, this one, what a banger. Welcome back in the six here on 1025 The Game, our first episode here of the new sports season. Football getting underway in just a couple of weeks. We are so excited, and we are so close. A couple of texts to get to on our text line, 615-737-1025. The second time we've seen this today, Nick. 8566 says, Vita Vea requested a trade. Make it happen. Simmons next to Villa would be absolutely bonkers. Yes, it would. But are we disregarding the guy you just went out and paid? A guy that fits Robert Saleh's system, and I know he fits Robert Saleh's system because I've seen it happen on the New York Jets. Are we forgetting about John Franklin Myers?
Yeah, I don't understand why people are forgetting about John Franklin Myers. That the Titans, I would say for the most part, did an overhaul on the defensive side of the ball, collecting two cornerstone, I'd say, cornerbacks in this sense, and you go and get true defensive pressure in Jermaine Johnson, John Franklin Myers, and obviously you go draft Keldrick Falk, but you all do that. They basically do that to help out a guy like Jeffrey Simmons. I'm not saying Vita Vea wouldn't help Jeffrey Simmons. I'm just saying you've already invested too much into the defensive line. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. Yes, Vita Vea would be a great addition to this defense, but I don't think it's necessary.
No, I agree with you, and I think it's also important to note the Titans do not run a three-man front anymore. They run a 3-4, which means you have that extra edge rusher on the outside. They also don't need a nose tackle in the middle. Mm-hmm. I think you're good with that four-man front. You've got Jeffrey Simmons, and you've got John Franklin Myers. And then on the outside, on either side, you could have Jermaine Johnson, you could have Jalen Harrell, you could have Keldrick Falk. You pick your poison on the outside. But those two guys on the inside, Simmons and Franklin Myers, I think you're fine there. So I'm dismissing the Vita Vea conversation from the Tennessee Titans. One conversation I'm not dismissing from the Tennessee Titans is that JC Latham has been put on the PUP list. And I don't want to ask the question, how concerned are you? Because I think there's levels of concern. For instance, I think I'm less concerned about it than you are, Nick, because I know we talked about it on Saturday a little bit. I think the question I want to ask is, what level of analysis should we provide for JC Latham being on the PUP list? Is it being overanalyzed? Are we overanalyzing the fact that he is not on I don't want to say active roster, but he's not going to be on the field to start training camp because of a lingering injury? Are we overanalyzing that?
Maybe to a degree, but the reason why I'm kind of overly concerned is, one, this is a player that's already had a reoccurring injury, and it was with the hip. And to be fair, the guy only played 13 games last year. Out of those 13 games, he allowed 8 sacks. I mean, at some point, I get, yes, last year was kind of the growing year for him to play right tackle from start to finish. And then obviously your rookie year, you're playing at left tackle, and then it doesn't work out. They try to move him to right tackle, all that. I get that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, there has to be some form of continuity. And the continuity that we see right now from the outside looking in is the continuity of not being out there. I know it's the basically continuity of inconsistency. That to me is the only continuity. So I am concerned. I'm concerned that, if he goes out on the field and they go into full pads, and let's say, just for example, Cam Ward's not completing passes on the right side of the line, well, there's probably a reason for that. It's probably because it's JC Latham, and because the pad level is probably a little too high. Or, I'm not saying Cam Ward's short like Kyler Murray, but he's probably gonna have a hard time throwing the ball on the right side of the ball or right side of the line. So that, to me, that's the big concern. I think that's something to emphasize and something to watch for tomorrow at training camp.
Yeah, I'm not as concerned as you are, just because I know how the PUP list works, and they can take him off anytime they need to. And I do know that injury was lingering in June. You can be concerned about that all you want. I'm not as concerned. What I am concerned about is, when he does get on the practice field, is he going to take the next step? Are we going to see that consistency you're alluding to? Because a lot of his issues last year were self-inflicted. Not getting those feet set, being called for offsides, being called for holding. A lot of his struggles were self-inflicted. To be a right tackle in the NFL, especially when we've given you the excuse that right tackle is your natural position, you have to have elite discipline. I haven't seen that from JC Latham in his 2 years with the team. And this is a big year for him. It's a big year because it's his third year, and they have to decide if they want to pick up his fifth-year option or not to keep him on that rookie contract. Remember, he's a first-round pick. He's the only round that gets that fifth-year option, so it's important. I need to see immense levels of improvement. I need to see a Peter Skoronski-esque jump from JC Latham this year. And we're obviously going to be delayed in seeing that on the practice field because he's on the PUP list, and that's a separate issue. But for JC Latham specifically, I need to see those feet set the right way. I need to see the physical specimen that he was touted to be coming out of Alabama. I need to see what Nick Saban praised him as one of the best players he's ever coached. I need to see that, and I haven't seen it on an NFL level. So I will continue to harp on.
That's the thing I'm having a hard time grasping, Connor, is when he came into the league, everybody was just in awe because this was a offensive lineman that was running wind sprints in a thunderstorm at the Titans practice facility. And on top of that was going, back and forth at nauseum with Olga and Bertha, which was Bill Callahan's offensive line toys to some sense. The guy would not stop practicing and working on his craft as an offensive lineman. And maybe he's still doing that. It's just not highlighted from camp and from offseason training and so forth. But at the same time, this is a guy that has refined his diet. He's tried to get himself back into his old form. It just hasn't worked. And I hate to bring soccer into this, but there are players that it doesn't work for them at a certain team, and they go to another team, and they end up becoming a really good player. I don't know if it's a change of scenery that needs to happen for JC Latham, but it just seems like that to a certain degree.
The Tennessee Titans story. A player doesn't work out here, and then they go somewhere else, and then they end up working fine.
Story of our life.
Yeah, it's something we all deal with. But JC Latham, he has got to show immense signs of improvement. Peter Skoronski, I think we can look at and say that's probably the best player on your offensive line. I mean, interior lineman or not, guard or not, he gets stuff done. He showed improvement last season. I need to see that from the guy you took the year after in the first round. Otherwise, the Titans are going to be in a deep hole at that offensive line position. So I think we can look at the PUP list designation and freak out about it. I'm not there yet, but I think once he comes off that PUP list, we're going to have to see, all right, show us something. Because right now, I am leaning towards the side of JC Latham might be a bust.
Yeah, it's leaning in that direction to a certain degree, but I just want to see production. That's all I want. I just want to see a little bit of hope at the beginning of training camp. Tomorrow, if we hear information or if we hear anything of like JC Latham did good at this, JC Latham did good at that, to me, that's going to shut me up, and I'm okay with that. I need some form of validation that this guy is invested in trying to get back to his old form. And I mean, from what it sounds like too, when he was on with Chase and McJoe last year from camp, he sounded like he was fully invested, which he should be. I mean, it was a first-round draft pick. He should be invested. So as for tomorrow, I'm just hoping to hear good things. That's all I'm really hoping for.
615-737-1025 is the phone number. One final segment for us here on the 6, and as we do, I told you it was coming with us. We will play Where Are They Now? The game taking the nation by storm, or maybe not the nation, but more so the station. One day, the nation will be playing Where Are They Now? For now, it is confined to the studio of 102.5 The Game. We'll do it coming up next to finish out the 6. Connor, Nute, Dr. Crane here with you on 102.5 The Game. Welcome back in the 6 here on 102.5 The Game. Oh, this song gets me every single time. The Tiny Desk version of Outstanding by the Gap Band. As we wrap things up here on the program, our debut program, or re-debut that is, we play the most famous game at this station over the last few weeks, a game that many hosts have tried to take from us, but have failed in the process. A game Dr. Crane and I created with a little bit of help from Jake Lyman, called Where Are They Now? And we invite Brandon Bigsby, our producer, to play with us as well. I'm sure you all know the rules by now, but if you don't, and if you're new to the station or new to the program, everyone's new to the program. This is a new show. But here are the rules. We go around, we list the career paths of a former and or current athlete. The new rule has been instituted because of the many violations from Adam Vingan. We are limiting to a 3-guess rule from each individual, meaning you get 3 guesses and you're out. And, you know, the only thing you win is pride and blah, blah, blah. Everyone's a winner participation trophy. Are we ready?
I think so.
Okay. Without further ado, I will go first, and we will go to the gridiron. Seattle Seahawks, Washington Commanders, Denver Broncos, Tennessee Titans.
Let's see. So you said Seahawks, Commanders, Broncos, Titans.
I did. I will not give you the position, but I do have a hint if you need it.
I'm assuming defense?
Defense, yes.
Is this a current player or someone who's retired?
He is current.
Is it John Franklin Myers?
It is not.
Is he current? Jacob Martin?
It is not Jacob Martin.
Man, this is tough.
He was drafted in 2019.
Okay. So, let's see. Defense is what you said. Let me think this through here. I feel like I'm overthinking it, but...
He is entering his second year with the Tennessee Titans.
Second year?
Yes.
Cody Barton?
It is Cody Barton. Well done.
Should have known.
Nick Frazier, you're up to the plate, sir.
Okay, here we go.
All right.
Started playing football. Oh, sorry, here we go. Football. All right, let's see.
Football, yeah,
Went to
football.
School at West Virginia. Drafted in 2013. St. Louis / Los Angeles. Dallas Cowboys.
Tavon Austin.
49ers. Green Bay Packers. And Jaguars and Bills.
Tavon Austin. He has been used many times on this program.
Yeah, he is a you light my fire moment for sure.
He is a legend in this game. But I always love talking about some Tavon Austin, the greatest highlight reel in history.
You can tell him that.
Oh, yeah.
Been to hell and back.
Hell and back. All right, Brandon Bigsby, take it.
All right, we're going to stick to football here for this one because it's only right. This player has played for these teams: the Tennessee Titans,
Go ahead.
the St. Louis Rams, the Cleveland Browns, and the New England Patriots.
A man whose jersey I owned at one point, Mr. Kenny Britt.
It is Kenny Britt.
Kenny Britt, fantastic pull.
I used to love Kenny Britt. Not sure why, just did.
It makes me remember my Tyrone Calico jersey. I should probably get rid of.
That touchdown against Arizona that Vince Young threw to him in the back of the end zone. I know it didn't really lead to a whole lot in terms of importance, but that play will forever live rent-free in my head.
Did he win a Super Bowl with New England?
He was there in 2017.
Oh, so he lost it.
Then,
Oh,
yeah,
no. Yeah.
yeah, lost to
No.
the Eagles, right?
No, 17 was the Falcons. So he won. He was a part of 28-3.
Yeah, so he is a Super Bowl champion, Kenny Britt.
Congratulations to Kenny Britt. All right, we're going to the ice for this next one. This player began with the Colorado Avalanche, then to the Buffalo Sabres, then to the St. Louis Blues, Toronto Maple Leafs,
I know this.
Nashville Predators.
Ryan O'Reilly.
Nick Frazier?
The Factor.
It is Fact Daddy himself, Mr. Ryan O'Reilly. One of my favorite
Fantastic.
players, for sure. All right, Frazier, go for it.
Let's see here. All right, sticking with the ice. Let's go here. A center, played for the Oilers, New Jersey Devils, Dallas Stars, Nashville Predators, Washington Capitals, and ended his career with the St. Louis Blues.
Okay.
What was the first team?
Edmonton,
Okay. So
followed by New Jersey.
It's not Mr. Erat.
Played a prominent role with the Nashville Predators, by the way.
Damn, that was a guess then. I accidentally said a person's name. That counts as a guess. Okay. Let's think.
If it helps, he signed a 5-year, $22.5 million contract as a UFA.
Let's think here.
What year did you say he signed as a UFA?
That was 2007.
So this is a throwback name.
I'm sorry, it wasn't in 2007. It was earlier before that. But he was named captain, if that helps, in 2007.
Jason Arnott.
There you go.
Yeah.
I used Jason Arnott last week. I'm disappointed that I didn't remember that.
A little curveball.
Jason Arnott. You love you some Jason Arnott.
Yeah, I had the giant poster the Preds gave out when I was a kid. My parents were season ticket holders, and they gave out a life-size of Jason Arnott. And you could actually measure your height.
I have
Never
his.
got above 5 foot.
When the Predators did the giveaway, I think it was last season, they did the giveaway of the mystery pins where you open it and you get one of the captains. Mine was Jason Arnott, so I have it displayed. I don't know why it was Jason Arnott, but it was.
As you should.
Brandon Bigsby, take it away.
All right, we're going to go to the hardwood for this one because we have yet to do any NBA so far. All right, this player has played for these teams: the Los Angeles Clippers, the Miami Heat, the Oklahoma City Thunder, the Washington Wizards, the Charlotte Bobcats, the Milwaukee Bucks, the Washington Wizards again, the Cleveland Cavaliers, the Brooklyn Nets, and he ended his career with the Golden State Warriors.
Jeez. All right.
And what year was this?
That he ended his career?
Yes.
2019.
Jeez.
2019.
All right. Let's think here.
What was the first team?
The Los Angeles
Clippers.
Let's think here. I
have a good hunch. I get 3 guesses, so let's go. Did you say the Celtics at some point?
He did not play for the Celtics.
Never mind.
I can go repeat him one more time if you guys need.
I'm going to take a swing that I think is wrong, but I'm going to do it anyway. Sean Livingston.
It is Sean Livingston.
Whoa!
That is correct.
That was a shot in the dark. I just want you to know that.
Well done.
I just thought Warriors, and I remember he was backup point guard to Steph Curry for a while.
Yeah, 3-time NBA champion with Golden State, was drafted by the Clippers with the 4th overall pick in 2004 before he had that knee injury.
Yeah.
One of the better NBA stories ever, in my opinion.
He was great. I used to love Sean Livingston. All right, back to the gridiron we go. Minnesota Vikings, Jacksonville Jaguars, then went over to the CFL, played for the Edmonton Eskimos.
Edmonton Eskimos?
Mm-hmm.
Not the Edmonton Elks?
Yeah, they used to be the Eskimos before
Used to be the
changing
Eskimos.
to the Elks. So this
Really?
tells me this is somebody like late 2010s.
It is.
Deep.
Early or late 2000s, yeah. First team All ACC in 2006 from Georgia Tech University.
Is this Roman Reigns?
It may or may not be the OTC.
Am I right?
You are. It is our tribal chief, Mr. Roman Reigns.
I wasn't going to
That's
pull out the actual
crazy.
name, but I was sitting there thinking, I was like, the Edmonton Eskimos, and you said Georgia Tech. I was like, that's Roman Reigns, isn't it?
Joe Anoa'i, as he is named.
That is a great pull. 10 out of 10.
I thought I could sneak that one by you. I'm kind of disappointed in myself, but oh well. Nick Frazier, your final selection.
This is a fun one. I think you guys you'll enjoy this one. Let's start off with Clemson,
Okay.
and then went to East Mississippi Community College,
Oh.
also known as EMCC. Then went to Ole Miss, followed by the NFL draft in the 7th round. Then to the Broncos, Colts, and currently with the Toronto Argonauts.
I know this. I can see his face. I know his position. I just can't remember his name.
And if it helps, he went back to EMCC in 2021 to be an offensive assistant coach.
Yeah, it's the quarterback.
2-time Grey Cup champion.
That not old, that really, really southern white guy.
Yeah, that's it.
Oh, what was his name? Is it cheating if I look up Last Chance U?
I don't think it is.
Okay, because I know who it is. I just can't remember his name for the life of me.
Describe him to me, please.
He's white. He's really southern. He kind of looks like Christian Skelton.
No.
No?
No.
Are all of those no? Or do you just think he doesn't look like Christian?
He doesn't look like Christian.
Oh,
No.
okay.
Oh, this dude could still be onto something.
Yeah. Let me give a little extra help here. He started out at Clemson, then transferred to EMCC,
Yeah.
then to Ole Miss,
What was the first NFL team?
The
Denver.
Eagles.
Denver Broncos,
Oh, was it Denver?
then the Colts, then the Argonauts.
Oh, is it Bo Wallace? Is that his name?
No, not Bo Wallace. You're on the right track, though.
Chad Kelly?
Oh, look at Brandon Bigsby.
Oh,
Chad Kelly is the answer.
I knew it. I knew it was one of those two. I'm disappointed in myself, not only as a Last Chance U fan, but as an Ole Miss fan.
The Clemson one, that was what threw me because everyone remembers him at Ole Miss, obviously. But
Exactly.
the Clemson
That's kind of
one,
why I wanted
yeah.
to throw it in there.
The city of Oxford is very upset with Coach Nute right now. I didn't tell you this, Frazier. I have moved on from South Carolina to hotty-toddy
Did
Ole
you
Miss.
really?
I did.
Now, are you using the tactic to where, like, you use all the NIL value and then you transfer to another school and then you just restart, or what?
No. I mean, I did in this case, but, Pete Golding left for Tennessee because Josh Heupel left to coach the Houston Texans or something. And then I took Pete's job. And then your boy, Jamie Chadwell, took the South Carolina job.
Good for Jamie.
Good for Jamie. He's finally made it up to the big boy leagues. All right, Brandon, wrap us up here.
All right, we're going to go back to the ice for this one. All right. Start out with the Mighty Ducks of Anaheim with that exact name, not the Anaheim Ducks, so keep that in mind.
Yep.
Then the Florida Panthers, the Carolina Hurricanes, the New York Rangers, the Ottawa Senators, the Minnesota Wild, then the Nashville Predators, and ended his career with the Pittsburgh Penguins.
Minnesota Wild.
Does his son currently play for the Nashville Predators?
Technically.
Matt Cullen.
It is Matt Cullen.
There we go.
That is correct.
There we go.
Look at that.
That's a good one to end it on. I liked Matt Cullen when he was here. I was happy for him when the Pittsburgh Penguins won the Stanley Cup here.
I wasn't.
I mean, I wasn't happy for the team, but I was happy for Matt. I liked Matt. Anyways.
I vaguely remember Matt Cullen at Nashville.
Yeah, I was young. I was, what was that, 2014? 15?
That they won the cup?
No.
Against-
They won in 17
Yeah.
with him. When was he a Predator?
He was a Predator from 2014 to 2016.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I was like 10. But I remember it. I remember Matt Cullen very well.
Actually, excuse me, 2013 to 2016. Signed a 2-year deal with the Preds.
Yeah.
So he was there when Mike Ribeiro was with the Preds, too.
He was, yeah. They had Cullen, Mike Fisher, Mike Ribeiro all at the same time.
Nick Frazier's a huge Mike Ribeiro fan.
I am. He was so valuable to those Preds teams way back in the day. People they just underappreciate him, man.
Yeah. He goes under the radar for sure. That'll
If
do
there's
it.
an opportunity, bring him back to Nashville to just honor him.
Mike Ribeiro night. Mike Ribeiro into the Golden Hall. Nick Frazier votes for it. Frazier,
Sean Henry, you heard it.
thank you for being our very first guest here on the 6. We appreciate the time.
Thank you.
It was a blast. We'll do it again quite a bit, probably later this week, depending on how your schedule shakes out. That'll do it for us here on the 6. Appreciate all of you for listening. I told you, the sports talk doesn't stop at 6. We keep it going till 7. No more words from us today here on the program. For Nick Frazier, for Brandon Bigsby, my name is Connor Nute. Robbie and Rex Road coming up tomorrow starting at 6 a.m. right here on 102.5 The Game.